Hello and welcome to this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show. I'm your host, Christine Innes, and I am so excited because this beautiful woman, Tracey Horton, is joining me, and I can't wait for us to have a beautiful conversation. We have met a couple of times in person. I'm like lost for words now. I've been talking all day, so it's very rare for me. But I love the fact that you really live and breathe everything that you say, and I think that's what one of the things that really sort of like drew me to you. So I want to just say thank you so much for your time and for coming on the show today.
Oh, Christine, that is a lovely intro. My darling, I'm falling in love with you more every day. That is so nice. And to be honest with you, that is the nicest thing you could say about me, because integrity is one of my top core values. I want to leave the planet happier, kinder than I ever before I came. And integrity is a really big one for me. What you see is what you get.
And I really feel that, like, I was going to do this whole big intro, but I really want to just dive into it, if that's okay with you. I'm going
Sure,
to
go
put
for it.
everything about you because I have a secret little crush on you. Like, it's just, in the nicest possible way, because you are,
Yeah,
like, you say integrity is one of your big things, and that is one of my big values in life. And I really
right.
feel that you can start to see through people's BS when they're not following their integrity, when they're not being authentic. And when somebody like you steps up, really shines, but is not afraid to embrace everything, that for me is just like, I don't know what the word is, but it just allows everything to sort of mold perfectly. And that's why I am so drawn to you. So I want to
Yeah.
say thank you for, being you, and for what you do and what you share to really help inspire and empower people as well.
Thank you. I've got a saying which I always say is that talent will take you anywhere, but only character can keep you there. And I think that we've kind of lost a little bit of that in our society. And it's interesting that we're recording right in the middle of the COVID-19 issue. And I think that that's one of the things that people are stepping back and going, hang on, let me look at character, let me look at some of these things, because right now anyone's talent doesn't matter. We're all stuck at home, we're all doing the same thing. And but character and integrity and those deep core values and those really nice strong traits are really what's holding people outstanding at the moment. And I think that's a great takeaway for right now.
Yeah, so true. Because I remember when everything hit the fan, a few years ago for me, I had to learn what my values were so that I could really rebuild myself. Because one of the big things I say is, if you don't stand for anything, you're going to fall for everything. And
Love it.
if you don't have your core values, if you don't have something that
Hmm.
you live and breathe by and embrace, and not
Yeah.
afraid to shout it from the rooftop, I strongly believe that as a person, it's very hard for people to take you seriously, or to sort of get to know you a little bit more, but also in business, because people buy from you.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. And I think the thing about having core values, knowing who you are, and that is that you get to be your authentic you, because everybody else is taken, right? So I've got to be me because everybody else is taken. And I think that when you can be you, you actually really vibe at a nice high energy, and you create a lot naturally. And like you said, you meet people and there's this lovely synergy where you and I just got along because we weren't pretending to be anything we weren't. So,
Mm.
I think it's extremely important that you do understand who you are, and you just live in that zone. Get in that lane and go hard.
Mm. Has that really changed how you do business though? Like, I mean, have you always done that at the start, or has that been something that you've slowly sort of integrated into your life and your business?
I think because I had such a disruptive childhood, and I was at 18, I had no concept of a goal, of a core value, of anything. I was a crushed woman heading into adulthood with not a clue. I was broken, I was harsh, I was everything you can imagine, nothing like the woman you see. And so I had to go on a personal journey to recreate that. I had to go on a personal journey to learn that. So for me, some of this stuff has been relevant forever, I would say, because I'm a lot older than you. Because as I learned it, I applied it immediately, because I had nothing that I'd learned as a child. I had none of that sort of scaffolding or understanding. I was a blank slate. So for me, I learned it along the way and I applied it instantly. And it's really important to me. When you don't have an identity as a child, it's very important to you that you create an identity you're comfortable with, which I have. And that identity remains really non-negotiable for me with people. There's 7-8 million people in Australia, 70, whatever it is. They don't all love me. That's okay. The ones that need me will find me, and that's great.
I so agree with that, because I really find that, we don't have to all go through so much adversity or, to hit rock bottom. And, you and I both got, stories that we can share, like to let people know what it's like and to be able to rebuild it up. But when you get to know who you are, I feel that is sort of when the magic starts to happen, and to really uncover, where you're going in life and just the endless possibilities that you can create yourself.
Absolutely. And we live in a Western culture, so that Western culture doesn't deal with this sort of stuff very much. We live in a Western culture which is quite disjointed. It's very common for us to move away from family, so we don't have all of that, generational understanding and teaching. So I think for me, I don't know about you, but I have found that most people have a point in their life where something shows up and asks them this question. Are you ready to be you? Are you ready to be authentically you? Are you ready to become non-negotiable on the things that matter to you? And like you said, for some of us, it's a deep-seated early trauma, like for me, but for other people, it's a glitch in a marriage, it's a glitch in business, it's just a moment, but something does show up. It always does, because that's life.
I think, like, one of my favorite sayings is from Jay Shetty, and Jay Shetty said that if your life is like this, you're flatlining. Life is meant to be up and down, and we really need to obviously embrace it. And especially, I guess, in these times, especially now with what's happening with the COVID-19 and that, is the fact that people are not embracing that. They're, going into scarcity, they're going into the fear mode. But we should be really embracing, like, this is a change. This is something that we can learn, and we can learn so much more about ourselves as well.
Yeah. Deep change always brings about vulnerability. And that's another thing our culture doesn't really teach on, which is such a shame. But vulnerability is actually a real superpower. And when we are able to understand that and feel into that, we can often really move on from that and understand it. And so I think COVID-19 is a really great opportunity for people to pause and understand, why am I feeling vulnerable? Am I vulnerable about my marriage, my business, my relationships? Like, what is it? And then how do I fix it? And I think around business and money, we've become extremely vulnerable because nobody knows what it looks like. Nobody knows when they're reopening. Nobody knows when they can get re-employed. So, it's a tough time. But vulnerability is definitely a superpower, because when you feel into it, you can work out what it's bringing up for you, and you can really release that. I worked with a lady this morning and I said to her, do you know what? You did not get made redundant. Your job has released you. That's the end of it for you. You've got a different career. You have so outgrown that position, that company. Just see it as a release. And she was so empowered by that, because instead of looking at she was made redundant, she wasn't necessary, there was no support for her, she'd given them 20 years and she was still chosen. Instead of taking away all of that mindset, I just said, you know what, that path is finished for you and it released you. Let's just look at it like that.
I love that so much. I remember the first time I got made redundant, and I was excited and I thought, oh, how great is this? But I was, quite young when that happened. But the second time that it happened, it made me go, ooh, because I was so attached to my job title, so attached to that corporate career, because I didn't have my own identity opposed to that career. And it really came obviously crumbling down, when I hit complete rock bottom and got told, well, you're never going to work again, and go, well, who am I without, having this job title, because I've worked my whole entire life. So I love the way that you change it. And I think people, especially now, changing that mindset, seeing the positive in it. And I think we're not looking outside the box as much as we possibly can for the amazing opportunities that are presented to us, because we live in an incredible world. You know, the access to the internet. Like, I mean, here we are doing an interview. I was talking to somebody in Florida this morning. Like, we have access to so much more, even though we're feeling a lack of, but we are got so much abundance around us that we're not seeing that.
Yeah, for sure. You know, one of my top sayings that I always say to everybody I work with is never write your story in someone else's handwriting. And so, you know, whatever happens around you, you define how that affects you. You know, so if your boss has let you go, don't let your story be his story. Don't use his handwriting. Stop, pause, experience, think, connect with people like you and I, work with people, find out how to rejig this, find out how to make it work and move on. But make sure at every stage of your life, you're writing it. It's your handwriting. You've got the pen. You've got the ability to do it. And I learned that really strongly when I realized one day I was still really bent up about stuff that had happened to me, and none of the people that had hurt me were giving it a second thought. And that day I changed my life when I realized, hang on, I'm their story.
Yes.
I've got to rewrite this thing. I've got to rewrite this thing. I don't want to be their story. They don't deserve 50 years of my life. I need to rewrite this. And fortunately for me, I learned it really young, and I now apply it to everything. So I think...
No, keep going, because like that, that's everything that I live and breathe by.
Because that's the beauty of it. And, you know, this is still the year of 2020 vision. This is still the year of clear vision. And I don't think this is by mistake, because I don't know if you've looked out lately, but the universe, nature, everything is so happy. All of creation is so happy. And I think what we forget is that we come a lot of energy from that. We gain a lot of energy from that. So why people are really frustrated right now is because they just can't process the energy. So I just think people need to understand that if you at any time of your life, when you just pause, you can always rejig it. It's a journey. It's not a destination. You work it out how it looks, and you have to be flexible or it'll break you.
Yeah. And like, I want to break that down into a couple of different things. So first of all, when you said that you don't want the other person, because then first of all, they're not going to care, because you're just a little bleep on their radar, but this is your life. So of course it matters. But when you take ownership, first of all, you let go of playing the victim, because you're saying you own it and you're taking back control. So I think that that's really empowering for people to, you know, to say that, you know, write your own story, do what you want to do, because you have to follow your pathway. So I think that that's absolutely gold, what you're saying there. The other part, when you're saying about the energy of it, is the fact is that we have forgotten we have to remember, Bob Proctor talks about, you know that you can go cross country, for example. So say, you know, we're in Australia, we can go from one side of the country to the other. We know that we can get there, but all we have to really worry about is so far ahead. So if we're driving at night, a headlights only see so far ahead. That's all we need to concentrate on. We don't need to worry about the whole complete journey. We just need to know what's the first, like, 200 meters ahead of us, and keep going that way. And I was one of these people where I would get so overwhelmed, because I'm like going, oh my God, I have to have everything all planned out. I have to have all of this, you know, in line and all of that. But I forgot to enjoy the journey, because I was so busy planning everything way down the track.
Yeah, and that is something I watch young people do all the time, and it breaks my heart, because for me, I'm determined to have a life I'm in love with, and I review that life holistically. Body, soul, and spirit, husband, children, grandchildren, work, paradigms. I review all of it every year, because I'm over halfway through my life, you know, and it comes around quick. Like, I can remember when my kids were little, I'm now empty nested, thinking if only they would all call in. So, you know, it comes around really, really quick. And I think that when you understand that you can't waste a day, you can't waste today, you can't waste tomorrow, because it actually matters. And it matters on two frames. Number one, you're not going to get it again, so do something with it. And number two, create something you love. Like, if you don't have a life you love, my advice is change it. is change it. And that's why I love the work that I do, because most of the time, Christine, when people are inside the frame, they can't see the picture. So we all, and I still have people that speak into my life, and I'm a big believer in mentorship, attending courses, learning, upskilling, doing programs like yours, watching podcasts, watching TVs, because here's the thing. Every time people say stuff and it triggers with you, then you realize, hang on, I'm inside this frame. I don't always see it. You know, we don't always see it. We don't know that we spoiled our own kids. We don't know that we overinvested in the business. We don't realize that there's no profit left in the margin now because we haven't upped our prices in 4 years, because we're all inside the frame. And so that's why it's really important. And that's why I love what you're doing, and I love how you're doing it, because it's educating people to just let people helicopter in and have a bit of a look and help them out.
And I think it's so important to do that. And one of the big things, you know, I've learned, obviously, starting a business, you know, from the ground up, is actually being open to receive advice and, you know, actually allowing that in. And that's also for my personal life too, because, you know, you're saying, you know, so much you're in that little framework, you're stuck in that little bubble, but when people can see outside, you know, I remember my girlfriend saying to me after I left my marriage, and they're like, oh, we wanted to tell you, but you weren't ready to hear it. You weren't ready to receive that information. So if everybody could just give yourself permission to receive information, and then you've got a choice then of whether you take it on board and you use it and you make changes, or you just disregard it and you continue on the current pathway that you're on. But give yourself permission to be open to receiving.
Absolutely. And I think never more so than with money, because when we start a business, we get so caught up about money. But, you know, one of the things that my management company does is we review P&Ls, and we read balance sheets, and we put them into pie charts, and we put them into reports that laymen can understand. So the guy that's running the business can be sitting at home having a drink and think, okay, so I've only got $48 in every 400 left. No wonder my profit margins are struggling. No wonder I can't take a dividend at the end of the year. Because I believe this, knowledge is power. If you know, you can do something about it. And people get really caught up in, okay, well, you can't sell your magazine for more than $12 because nobody else does. Well, okay, if that's true, because I don't always think it is, but if that was true, you have to produce that magazine for $8, or you're not going to last longer than 2 years in business. That's the fact. There has to be 33% profit in what you're doing, or you aren't lasting more than 2 years. That is factual. It's not me judging your business. And I think when we can take all that down, strip it all down, and just because people can understand it, and I think that's where you have to just let people teach you, let people help you. I always say in the first year of business, you need a financial mentor. In the second year of business, you need a growth mentor. In the third year of business, you need a personal mentor, and then you will do well for 30 years, I'm telling you.
I think, you know, so one of the big things that I've learned is the business was me. And I'm like, okay, you know, this is great. You've built it up, and I've taken my time to do it. And I've just hired staff, and it has been the biggest, like, holy crap. Like, first of all, I have to let go of things but then also be open to receive, you know, changes that they can see. And I'm like, okay, yep, I get it that I probably wasn't the best at that. That's okay. Go right ahead. But it's then also now getting me to be even more open to go, okay, I see the direction of where I'm going. Who can I get to help work with me? And I think we get so, oh no, I'm going to do it. This is my business. This is it. But the more help you have, the more it allows you then to be the business and to do what you're good at and go back to that passion again, because we get so tied down in the admin stuff. We get so tied down in all the other loose end stuff. But now I'm like, oh, okay, I get to do what I love. And this is why I started the business. And, you know, get to do the interviews and not be bogged down by I shouldn't say bogged down, but, you know, like, the editing side of things, you know, I'd rather pay somebody now to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that that's a really crucial point for people to really understand, is to, you know, find people that are great in business that you can actually learn from as well.
Yeah. And like you said, we're the magic. So we're the noun. And I always say to people, never lose sight of the dream. Never lose sight of the moment you got up one day and said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You know, like, I think for people, and I always liken it to pregnancy, because, you know, a woman gets that pregnancy test and it's positive. She doesn't get caught up in everything else. She just keeps telling everybody for 9 months, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. How exciting. I'm pregnant. She doesn't get caught up in, oh, hang on, I'm going to have to leave. You know, you don't ever hear pregnant women talking about other stuff. They just keep talking about how they're pregnant. They're pregnant. And I think that that's the beauty of it. We are the noun. We don't change. Who you are and your dream and your goal and your vision should never change. But the rest of it is scaffolding and verbs. The rest of it is subject to change. It's how we play with it. It's how we diversify it. And here's the thing. For you to stay that solid noun that can produce at a high level and keep moving on, I teach my clients this. There is only 4 or 5 things you need to do in your business. The rest you can outsource. That is, you have to be able to run it. You have to be able to have the final say. You have to know what's going on. You have to be able to run staff, run other people, inspire them and motivate them. It's up to you to make sure that if they are going without, you look after them. If they're struggling, you fix it. You have to be able to know your finances and to be able to understand that there's money left. You have to be able to pay the ATO. You have to be able to do all that stuff. And then the only other thing you need to do is bring vision and direction. If you never did a physical thing after that, you would run a highly successful business. And you have to be able to understand that those are the 4 unnegotiables. You have to do those every day. Then if you've got time left, you can go to lunch with Christine. Then if you've got time left, you can do some editing. Then if you've got time left, like, I run a huge bookkeeping business, but I hardly ever touch the computer. I jump in and out when there's something nobody else can sort out. Because I am looking after a set of staff and they are brilliant and I make them brilliant, because there is nothing going on in their lives that I miss.
I love that so much. And I think that's what the big difference is, especially, you know, when you're a heart-centered person and you run a business, that your people matter, because they are also a reflection of your business. And it's a big difference going from corporate, you know, when you've, you know, and I always say that, you know, when my business gets that big, I will know every person that works there, because I still want to have that connection. I still want them to feel the values that I have, and, you know, like you said, inspire them, because this is the vision of the business. This is what we're here to do, so that they can feel that. As I said, I absolutely love what you do. When, you know, I really feel that you offer the advice, because it's not just textbook advice. It is also the life lessons that, you know, you've had to learn from yourself and be able to then implement, not only into your personal life, but also into your business as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the best thing young people can do is learn from people that are racing ahead of them. Because the idea is that as I'm learning, I'm imparting it. You know, I realized at the beginning of 2020, I was in my last decade of intentional working. So by the time I hit 2030, I'll be in my mid to late 60s, and I will not intentionally be working. That's not my plan. That's not my goal. I will work when and if I want. I'll still have a global influence. I'll still have a lot of resource and stuff. But this next 10 years is all about legacy. So for me, I'm starting to put it all into resource, all into teaching materials, so that all the young people behind me, all the people that are just starting business now, they can learn. They can learn, hey, wow, okay, so you don't do that, so you do this, because that's the thing, is that we can learn so much from other people that have done it differently.
And learning from, like, my big thing is, somebody once told me, is that you can go and ask business advice to anybody, but you should only take the advice from people who have actually done it. Because everyone's got advice for everything, but actually go out and seek the advice or seek the information from people who have done it.
Yeah, and you need to seek the advice from people that have done what you want to do. So if you want to build a successful business, you need to go looking for someone who's not affected financially by COVID-19, because that person has built a successful business. You know, and And if you're looking for somebody who's run a big, strong business and has worked 50 hours a week and still has a husband and children, or if he's male, a wife and children that still happily love them, go and find out what their secret is. Go and talk to them. Because I always say to people, if you're looking for a mentor, make sure they can give you free information that's valuable. If all they do is talk around and round and around about you joining the course, that's all they've got. You don't need it. You don't need it. Don't waste your time. A true mentor should be full of information that they can hand out. So when you need stuff, go looking for people that have got a proven track record. I'm 33 years into my marriage. If there was a glitch happening, I'm looking for someone who's been married 50 years, not someone who's been married 10. I'm looking for someone who's been married 50, because I know they had to have had that glitch.
I go to my parents for relationship advice because they've been together like for 40-something years. So, that's what I do. I'm like, well, they're still together. They're still madly in love with each other. They still have date nights.
Nice.
They get it. So,
my sort of people.
Yeah. But I love that. What would you say as we sort of wrap up, that if somebody, especially now, there's so many people that are really questioning where they're at, because either they're realizing that there's so much uncertainty happening on in their lives and they're not fulfilled. What would you say to them if they're sitting there going, I've got this idea of what I want to do, not sure, it's really challenging times right now. What would you say for them to go ahead and to either follow their passion or to reassess where they're at?
First of all, I would say you need to really understand the rest is still unwritten, and it is for everybody every day. COVID-19 just made us look at it. Every single day we wake up every morning and none of us know. It's all unwritten. And when you have that mindset, then you're not really surprised by big glitches. The second thing I would suggest they do is that they mind map. Get a blank piece of paper, some coloured pens, and just start writing all the stuff you want to do, all the stuff you've never thought of doing, all the stuff you hate, and just start crossing it out, start meditating on it, and something will come up for you. And my third suggestion is talk. Really get hold of someone like yourself, like me. I don't know a great mentor right now that isn't offering free sessions, because this is the time we were born for. If anybody needs advice, it's now. And I know all the heart-centered mentors are just saying, listen, I'll give you an hour of my time for free. Like, you couldn't get that 4 weeks ago. You won't be able to get it in December. But right now, everybody's sitting around holding space for people saying, listen, we'll talk to you. So, get some advice, start talking to some people, because like I said, they can helicopter in and see that picture so quick for you and so helpful for you. But don't panic. Whatever you do, don't panic and don't stress, because you won't create in that space. So just lift yourself up and just look at it as an opportunity. It's always an opportunity.
I love that so much. And we actually just need to realize how many opportunities there are now for people. And, as you said, there's beautiful people out there. I've been offering help and support to heaps of different people at the moment. And I know you've given me lots of help and support. And, I'm extremely grateful for that. So, just for people to realize that, let's just seek. And the more you seek, the more you can find. So it's beautiful. I want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your beautiful wisdom and just your presence. Like, I love talking to you. So
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I think you're an incredible young woman, and you're going to do some amazing stuff, Christine. So it's exciting to be part of you.
Thank you so much, so much. I am going to leave all of the details that you can reach out to Tracey. She is an incredible public speaker. She's an author. She's a life coach. So if you need any one of those services, please reach out. I'll put all of the details of how you'll be able to get in touch with Tracey below. So make sure you reach out. Again, beautiful lady, thank you so much for your time today and joining us on this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I am your host, Christine Innes, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow all of our previous episodes, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the next episode. Make sure that you wake up and live life full of passion and love every single day. So love and light to you all.